Now at 9 on a special edition of NewsLink Indiana, an election unlike any other in a year that's unprecedented. Millions nationwide showing up to cast their votes.
On the national stage, President Donald Trump hopes to spend 4 more years in the White House, but his Democratic challenger, former Vice President Joe Biden, hopes to move the country in a different direction. The two often butting heads.
Cowboys, stand back and stand by. Will you shut up, man?
But that's not the only race up for grabs tonight. Here in Indiana, Governor Eric Holcomb going up against Woody Myers and Donald Rainwater.
We're live tonight with coverage across Delaware County of other local races as well, plus in-studio analysis from Ball State political science professor Chad Kinsella. Join us now for Election Night 2020.
Live from the heart of Ball State University, this is a NewsLink Indiana special report. Election Night 2020. Here now, Tyler Brummett and Brittany Dobbins.
Polls closing across the state, the wait is now on across the nation. AP projects Governor Eric Holcomb has won the governor's race, and President Trump has won Indiana in the presidential race.
Let's go ahead now and take a live look at the White House. Will President Trump get 4 more years, or will his Democratic challenger Joe Biden take the term? Polls have just closed in a handful of states: Arizona, which is a swing state, Colorado, Kansas, Louisiana, and Michigan.
Also, the polls in swing state Minnesota have closed. Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, North and South Dakota, Texas, Wisconsin, and Wyoming are also on the list.
And we're just getting started right here on a special edition of NewsLink Indiana. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm Tyler Brummett.
And I'm Brittany Dobbins. We've got live team coverage tonight from across Delaware County. Tara Konechny is at a Democratic watch party. We will check with her in a bit.
But we do want to begin tonight with Tucker White. He's covering the Republicans. Tucker, good evening.
Tyler and Brittany, thank you so much. As you know, I'm here at the Delaware County Watch Party, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a party. There's music going, there was food, all of that, and the reason being that Delaware County has returned all Republican incumbents. Now that includes 2 county commissioners, 2 county councilmen, a treasurer, surveyor, as well as several state representatives. Now, joining me here is the Delaware County Republican Chairman, Victor Whitehead. Victor, thank you for being with me.
Well, thank you for coming tonight.
Gotcha. So how was this year's watch party compared to other years?
Well, you know, it's still an exciting atmosphere. It's a little down because of COVID this year. You know, I think we had about 125 in the past couple of years. We've had almost 400 people in here, but you know, this is actually only the second event we've been able to have this year due to COVID.
Gotcha. And how do you feel about Delaware County's results tonight?
Well, it's great to be a Republican in Delaware County tonight. You know, we've, like you said, almost all of our incumbent office holders was reelected. Most of them carried with over 55 to 60% of the votes. We have won several of our state rep races, and we may actually knock off a Democrat incumbent for a state rep, depending on the outcome of the race over in Madison County.
Gotcha. And when are you expecting those results back?
That might be a little later tonight. One of the precincts, from what I'm hearing about over in Madison County, actually at 6 o'clock still had they were estimating a 5-hour wait time.
Oh, wow.
So it could be a little bit before those results are in.
Right. So the country in general has experienced record numbers of early voting. How do you feel that impacted Delaware County?
Well, we voted over 48,000 people cast their votes today. Over 20,000 of those were early and absentee by mail. And they overwhelmingly elected Republicans. So they're happy with the direction that the county is going. We've worked hard to get to this spot, and they trust us enough to send us back for another 4 years.
Gotcha. And you know, with COVID, that has affected everyone in just about every aspect of their life. How did that affect campaigning this year?
It had a huge impact on campaigning. Most of our candidates could not do anything. Like I said, this is only the second event we've been able to have. Most candidates weren't able to even raise any money, have any kind of fundraisers, because we were trying not to spread the virus. So we were very cautious of all of our events. We didn't go door to door, so everything was either by email, social media, or mail advertising this year.
Gotcha. Victor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tyler, back to you.
All right, Tucker, thank you. Let's turn now to the Democratic Party.
Yeah, we want to go ahead now and take a look at a little bit of the virtual watch party. This is footage from earlier tonight, that watch party being held by the Indiana State Democrat Party. The group is live right now on Facebook watching those results come in.
We do want to take you over to a watch party here in Delaware County, a race for the congressional seat in District 6. Running against sitting Congressman Greg Pence, the Democratic candidate is Janine Lee Lake.
That's where we find NewsLink Indiana's Tara Konechny. Tara, good evening.
Hello, Tyler and Brittany. I am here at the Democratic Watch Party at beautiful Janine Lee Lake's house, running for Congress as a Democrat against Greg Pence. When did you declare to start running? On July 4th of 2017 was my first run in 2018, and then July 4th of 2019 was my second run. What is the best outcome for you tonight? And if you don't win, what does that outcome look like for you? Well, it looks like we're not going to prevail in terms of victory, but for me, I had a certain amount that I was trying to get to because, you know, campaigning is a business and running for Congress is certainly a business. So I'm trying to get the support of the Democratic National Committee. And so we have a number that we'd like to get to. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed. And I believe in 2022, I'll still be in the race. That's awesome. What have you been doing over the past months to prepare for this night? Well, we were thinking that we had a good shot going into October, but then my opponent, he has quite a bit of money behind him, and so we knew that when he started running campaign ads on television, we heard that he dropped about $1.52 million in ads, print, radio, and television, and our campaign couldn't compete with that. So we did what we could do. We continued to go to different places, and you know, we're very proud of the race that we won in terms of meeting people and changing people's minds. That's great. Who is here to support you tonight at your house? I hear you have a lot of family, a lot of little kids around here. Who is here to support you? Well, I have 12 brothers and 2 sisters, and their families are all here tonight. We are a proud and blessed family, a favored family, and they just kind of wanted to be around me, so they're all here, and we're, you know, just really, really glad. I'm glad that they're here with me and celebrating this beautiful day. We have made history. For the second time, an African-American woman was the Democratic nominee for Indiana 6th Congressional District. We've never had a woman actually win in the 6th District, so we think that, you know, I think it's 23% of women are in Congress. We think it's time to start busting down some walls, and I'm going to still be a part of that, even after today. That's great. Thank you for being here with us. Live from Muncie, I'm Tara Konechny. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Tara, thank you so much. Of course, we've seen those results kind of trickle in. We do want to let you know that AP has projected that Republican Greg Pence has won re-election to the U.S. House in Indiana's 6th Congressional District. Of course, we're going to continue to stay on top of that. But like we said, the results here in Indiana, they're coming in.
In NewsLink Indiana's Imani Butts is live tonight in the newsroom with a breakdown. Imani, good evening.
Good evening, Tyler and Brittany. As Janine Lee Lake said, as we just saw, the votes are really not in her favor tonight. We have about a little bit over 8% of the votes casted right now. But looking at the 6th Congressional District race between incumbent Republican Greg Pence and Democratic candidate Janine Lee Lake, it's not looking too good for Janine Lee Lake, as Greg Pence has a little bit over 70% of the vote of the 8% that's in right now. So she would need to hype it up right about now in order to catch up. But as I said before, only 8% of the vote has been counted in. Moving on to the race of tonight, the big thing on the stage right now is the U.S. presidential race. Currently in Indiana, AP has projected for President Trump to win Indiana's 11 electoral college votes. And we are currently still waiting for Delaware County's votes to come in, and we will report that as the show goes on. However, comparing 2020 to 2016, in 2016, Trump won 56% of the vote of Indiana, and he won about 4 counties in Indiana as in 2016. In terms of Delaware County in 2016, the percentages were about the same. He won about 53% of the vote, and that's really not surprising to see that he won or is projected to win Indiana, as we have stated before, since Republican incumbent Mike Pence is his vice president. As we have stated before, he was currently the governor between 2013 and 2017. Moving on to the governor's race, however, AP has projected Eric Holcomb to win Indiana over Woody Myers. And as we move on throughout the show, we will be reporting on more governor's race and election results as the show moves on throughout the night. Back to you, Tyler and Brittany.
All right, thank you, Monty. Time now to break down some things we've seen so far.
Yeah, joining us live right here in the studio is Chad Kinsella. He's a Ball State political science professor, and he's serving as our NewsLink Indiana political analyst. Chad, thank you so much for joining us. We've seen the results kind of come in. What are your initial reactions?
Well, it's been really interesting. I think here for Indiana, Republicans have overall prevailed in a lot of the especially in Delaware County and overall in the state. I think there's a couple of key races that'll be interesting to see, especially the House race in the suburbs, especially of Hamilton County. But overall, as you could see, Republicans have won locally, and a lot of the statewide, including Governor Holcomb, have won re-election. So nationally, there's still a lot to be said, and there's a lot going on, and it's looking really interesting nationally. So it's going to be a long night, I think.
Now, what races have you been watching so far?
Gosh, so I've been looking at a lot of different states. So I've been looking at, I think there's a lot of action in the South. I always look at Florida, I think is really interesting. And President Trump has done really well there, especially with the Cuban vote. And I would almost say right now, it almost looks like President Trump will probably win Florida. Again, it might be a little too early for that, but he's done, I think outperformed what he did in 2016. But on the flip side, North Carolina is a total toss-up right now. Georgia will be interesting, Ohio. So there's a lot out there, and I think there's a lot of really interesting U.S. Senate races that we'll also have to watch. So it's going to be really interesting, and there's a ton to watch. And again, we haven't even seen some of the Mountain West and the West Coast, which will even bring in more to look at.
And you briefly alluded to the race back there in 2016. I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. Early voting this year, Indiana saw really so many more voters come out to the polls compared to 2016. Why do you think that is?
A couple different reasons. I think excitement is high, and I think excitement is always high for a presidential election. A big part of it, which I think can't be understated, is COVID-19. There's a lot of people who voted early, and a lot of people who voted by mail. And I think not only in Indiana but nationwide, you can see that those numbers are just huge compared to past years, and especially even in 2016. So I think there's a lot of people who just did not want to be afraid of long lines and being around lots of different people. So I think that's been driving it. So you have the double whammy of excitement, and then I think COVID-19 has really driven up the two of those together have really driven up early numbers.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many people voted today. Chad, you're actually going to be joining us throughout the show tonight. Of course, we want to thank you so much for being here with us. And you know what, Brittany, we do want to talk about the weather. Of course, a lot of election news tonight, but for those people heading to the polls, it really wasn't a bad day to get out there and vote.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was pretty cold this morning, but it did warm up a little bit. And Nathan, are we going to see warmer temperatures coming up?
Yeah, fantastic election weather today, and there is plenty more where that came from here this week, as we still see a pretty nice night here with these temperatures. 55 here in Muncie, 56 in Lafayette, and 57 up there in South Bend. Good evening to you. And we are still sitting warmer here compared to where we were at this time yesterday. Temperatures running around 10 to above numbers compared to where we were yesterday in terms of temperatures. So certainly a very nice evening out there tonight. Maybe just that jacket here tonight, but then by the time we get to this rest of this week, we're staying nice and warm. Not much to track here on the radar here, just seeing a few clouds in some locations, but nice and clear here in our section of the country. More details coming up on the forecast here throughout the rest of the week. Plenty of warm temperatures to track, as well as when our next rain chance could be. All the details in my full forecast. Back to you.
All right, Nathan, thank you so much. We've got a lot more to talk about here as Election Night 2020 is just getting started. More on the presidential election after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Riding the bus is an easy thing to do. Last year, we carried 60,000 riders from the Ball State area. 50,000 of those were students. Anywhere you want to go, Mitts will take you there.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
9:16 live look right now at the White House here on this Tuesday night. Of course, election 2020 rolling on.
Taking a look at the presidential race, President Trump at the RNC Annex in Arlington, Virginia today.
Yeah, he stopped to thank his supporters before heading back to the White House.
I'm hearing we're doing well all over. I hear the lines are amazing. The lines have been amazing. And I think we're going to have a great night. We're going to have a great night.
For election night, the White House is planning a party with up to 400 people in attendance. One source familiar with the planning said all attendees will be tested for the coronavirus.
Meanwhile, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden in his childhood hometown of Scranton. He landed in Philadelphia today to speak with both volunteers and supporters.
It ain't over till it's over, and when it's over, we're going to win Pennsylvania because of you.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also getting vocal on Election Day.
When the polls close, we must ensure that every vote is counted as cast. No underutilized resources, no regrets for what we could have done, nothing left on the field. Everything is at stake.
Pelosi did also note that everyone should be, quote, calm, confident, and patient while the nation awaits these results.
And a federal judge has ordered the U.S. Postal Service to have inspectors sweep underperforming facilities for election mail. The order is to ensure that no ballots have been held up. 7 battleground states conducting sweeps do not allow ballots to be conducted after Election Day: Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Florida, New Hampshire, Arizona, and Maine. According to new court filings, scores have steadily declined since Wednesday, when the USPS reported it moved 97% of ballots on time. USPS has reiterated the delays are largely due to staffing shortages because of COVID-19. To fix the issues, USPS has provided multiple layers of operational oversight, is coordinating closely with the USPS Inspector General, and has been holding daily troubleshooting calls. Some post offices have implemented local turnarounds. That's where ballots are being delivered directly to local boards of election instead of going through normal mail processing.
Also in your election headlines tonight, 2 ballots found compromised in Pennsylvania. The chief county detective says the ballots were received previously filled out in their entireties. Both ballots were sent to registered Democrats, a detective on the case noted. 2 envelopes received today at the Fayette County Election Bureau there in Pennsylvania were also possibly tampered with. The ballots are still being investigated. And as we continue to wait to see the final results of the presidential election, people, including the candidates, they're really reacting on social media, Britt.
NewsLink Indiana's Emily Harless joins us with a look at what people are saying. Emily?
Yeah, and Tyler and Brittany, the candidates have been active all day until recently. Now it's more one candidate still urging people to go out and vote. If we take a look over here at what they're saying on social media, Democratic candidate Joe Biden posted at 7:45 p.m. urging voters to stay in line to vote if you were in line before your polls closed. Vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris also reminded people to stay in line. President Donald Trump last posted at 6:15 p.m. saying that his results are looking good across the country, and Vice President Mike Pence simply urging people to vote for Trump. Former President Barack Obama was also vocal about his support for Biden today on Twitter. He has also been thanking voters across the country for voting, as we can see here in this post. Moving back to local elections, Governor Eric Holcomb is projected to win the gubernatorial race, according to the Associated Press. His most recent post was from over 9 hours ago when he urged people to find their polling place through a link on his Twitter. Democratic candidate Dr. Woody Meyer's most recent post was from around 6:15 p.m. when he posted with a first-time voter saying that that was his last campaign conversation for this election. Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater actually just went live on Facebook around 8:40 p.m. where he talked about his life in politics and coming back more local with the race for Congressional District 6 between Democratic candidate Jeanine Lee Lake and Congressman Greg Pence. They have also been pretty active today. Pence tweeted a photo of a voting sticker asking people if they voted for him at about 5 p.m. and Lake went live on Facebook around 6:30 p.m. saying things felt different for her this election. But happening right now, several people in Madison County, just one county over from us here in Delaware County, they're complaining of long voting lines lasting anywhere from 3 hours to nearly 7 hours. The longest lines seem to be coming from Adams Township Fire Station, according to the comments on a Facebook post that I did put out around 8:15 p.m. asking people if they were still in line, and some people are. One Facebook user saying, quote, "I'm still in line at Adams Township Fire Department, been here for 3 hours so far and a long way to go, at least 2 more hours, probably more." Now, Indiana's polls officially closed at 6:15 p.m., but as long as you were in line before that deadline, before they close, you are still eligible to vote.
All right, thank you, Emily. Now coming up, we'll have your latest news headlines in just a moment.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
One in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. We're keeping an eye on your results. We want to remind you that we are going a full hour tonight at 9:30, though we will sign off from Cardinal Vision. So, of course, we will continue to keep you updated on your election results. And meanwhile, it's estimated that thousands of people showed up across Delaware County to cast their ballots. Several issues, including the COVID-19 pandemic, taking center stage, driving people to the polls.
NewsLink Indiana's Anna Chalker caught up with some voters to hear why they felt it was important to head out.
Voting took place across Delaware County today at various polling locations from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. With early voting taking place at locations like the Delaware County building, lines to vote this afternoon were short.
Didn't wait very long at all. Got right in, got my identification and stuff like that, and was able to vote in a minute.
With mask mandates and wait times changing throughout this time, every voter has had a different experience.
I voted early on the very first day of early voting, in and out in 15 minutes. I wore the mask in and out, and at that time they were mandating that everyone wear the mask. Since then they've changed that to where they said they highly encourage you to wear a mask.
With the pandemic causing many changes throughout the year, voters like Jackie Dysert felt that participation in this election was vital.
I haven't voted since 2001, so yes, it did get me out. The United States is in trouble. We've got to get it fixed, and we, the people, is the ones who can fix it.
Voters showed up and showed out to use their voice about issues they are wanting to discuss.
One of the most important times in American history, especially with all the Black Lives Matter movement going around and stuff like that. It's very divided, but hopefully we can be united again.
We, the people, make the difference. That's the importance of getting out here and voting. No matter how old you are, if you're old enough to vote, you got to get out and vote. That's the only way that we can make a difference in our world.
In Muncie, Anna Chalker, NewsLink, Indiana.
And Brittany, while today's voter turnout isn't known just yet, more than 1.8 million Hoosiers did show up to the ballot box during the early voting period.
And now turning to your latest in the coronavirus, lead attorney and vice president for external affairs at Apex Benefits, Todd Rakita, has tested positive for COVID-19. As a result, he and his family will continue to quarantine following state guidelines. He says he is doing well and wanted to mention he looks forward to tonight's election returns and serving as Indiana's next attorney general.
Yeah, of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on that. And meanwhile, in tech news tonight, a new tool to help track the effects of a future COVID-19 vaccine. It's a smartphone-based active surveillance program called vSafe. It's a way for the CDC to monitor vaccine recipients for any health problems through text messages. If any adverse events are reported, the program will submit a report to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Health experts say this could help gather a lot of data really quickly.
Meanwhile, U.S. cruise lines have canceled sailings through at least the end of the year. That's because of new safety guidelines related to the pandemic. U.S. cruise lines had been previously set to resume sailings December 1st. The CDC announced a new framework for resuming sailings Friday. The CDC technically lifted a ban on sailings to and from U.S. ports, but it raised concerns about the safety of such travel while COVID cases increase worldwide, which prompted the industry trade group Cruise Lines International to issue a statement Monday saying they will work with the CDC to resume sailings as soon as possible. All the cruise line brands for Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian are impacted.
Speaking of travel, people going to Hong Kong from other countries will have to quarantine for 14 days. This is all going to start on November 13th. Travelers will have to provide confirmation of a reservation in a hotel for at least 2 weeks. In a statement, Hong Kong's government says the new measures will remain until further notice. Travelers in transit throughout Hong Kong will be exempt from this. Hotel quarantine previously only applied to travelers from specified high-risk countries. However, officials say this policy, like we said, it's going to be in effect until further notice. And while we continue to watch for those results, we're going to stay right here on NewsLink Indiana until 10 o'clock. However, we are going to sign off from Cardinal Vision.
We want to invite those watching on Cardinal Vision to head over to our Facebook page, NewsLink Indiana, where we are also live for continued coverage this evening. We will have more on those local races in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet if you are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener who loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
Problems. The ones nobody talks about at cocktail parties. We go looking for them. No matter the obstacles, no matter the odds, we surround a community's most critical problems, and we fight. United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?
It doesn't take a scientist to cure hunger or a fancy economist to create safe housing. It takes imagination, creativity, sweat equity. And I think of kids going to school hungry. Hunger, homelessness. In this land of plenty, seriously? Come on, we could fix this. Help out, or don't. The choice is yours.
Weeknights, NewsLink Indiana brings you the news before you go to bed.
But Friday mornings, you're waking up with Cardinal weather. We've got the latest news headlines.
Freezing temperatures have set in all the way down in Louisiana.
One man dead after flooding in Venice, Italy.
Up to the minute weather conditions.
Cold temperatures are the story this morning.
And of course, lots of fun.
It is not funny.
On earth is happening there?
I feel sorry for the little guy.
I've got my socks on. Annie with her curly hair, which is actually never curly. Join us Friday mornings at 8 on Facebook Live.
Welcome back. The time is now 9:30 and we are continuing our election coverage tonight. You know, it was a beautiful day outside. You know, it started off a little cold, but it did get a little bit warmer.
Yeah, it really did get a lot warmer out there. It feels nice out there. Nathan Gidley, of course, we are hoping that this is going to continue. By the way, congratulations. Now our chief weather forecaster, Nathan Gidley.
Hey, thank you, Tyler. Yeah, it is going to be a nice period here of several days of dry and warm weather. And that begs the question, is this an Indian summer? Well, let's take a look at that definition. Again, an unusually dry and warm period of weather here that occurs late in autumn after the first freeze. So we're a little bit early from that late autumn period here. But if you want to call it Indian summer, you can certainly make that a case here over the next couple of days. Temperatures right now, 55 in Muncie, 44 up in Fort Wayne, 51 in Kokomo, and good evening to you in the Circle City. You're sitting at 51 degrees. Now, temperatures have been warm considerably today compared to yesterday, running around 12 degrees and warmer compared to this time yesterday, right now in Muncie. And the winds have died down a little bit here today as well. We were quite gusty earlier, around south-southwest at 8 miles per hour now. And that southerly wind is going to be the story, bringing in these warm temperatures, gusty at times here as we track this out on the precision cast here, wind gusts here. Tomorrow morning, wind gusts are considerably heavy there, but by the time we get to the evening hours as well, they start to pick back up again. Wind gusts over 25 miles per hour for some locations, continuing into the overnight hours as well, but so starting to die down by the time you get to the day there on Thursday. Radar right now is nice and clear, and that's thanks to high pressure situated off to our south here, located here in the southeast regions, keeping us nice and dry here throughout the rest of this week. As we track out the temperatures here the next couple of hours, we're going to drop into the 40s, dropping down to around the lower 40s by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. A cool night ahead, clear skies, southwest wind around 5 to 10 miles per hour. A great day here tomorrow if you want to get out and make that tee time. Picture perfect golf forecast here with temperatures rising all the way to around 70 degrees thanks to that southwest wind around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And a great forecast expected for the Ball State football season opener. Excited for that out here at University of Miami here. 7 o'clock, mostly clear skies, temperature of 60 degrees. Great forecast for the opening football game. Let's go Cardinals. Now, as we track the forecast here into the rest of this week and into the weekend, this is the jet stream again. This is the river of air that separates warm and cold temperatures. Notice a little disturbance here moves in by the time it gets to today on Thursday. That's going to drop the temperatures just a little bit and bring with it an increase in cloud cover. But look by the time ahead of this weekend, just an abundance of warm air here across the eastern section of the country. Trough is located out west and the ridge is out there in the east, keeping all that warm temperatures here in our section of the country. Here in the mid-7-day forecast, you can see all of that warm air. 70 on Wednesday, a little cooler there on Thursday as that little weak disturbance moved through with partly cloudy skies there. Take a look at these temperatures though. All the way up into the 70s, well above average for this time of the year. Just a picture-perfect weekend as well. Plenty of sunshine. 72 Saturday, 74 Sunday, 75 Monday before we start to see some changes by Tuesday as a cold front is expected to move through then. So certainly take advantage of this warm and sunny weather here in the next couple of days.
Election night 2020 continues. The COVID-19 pandemic often has taken center stage during this election cycle. In moments, a breakdown of how it has impacted the election.
Plus, the night is still young and the wait is far from over. We check back in with our crews across Delaware County, taking a look at local, state, and federal issues.
Plus, more analysis from Chad Kinsella. Our special one-hour edition of NewsLink Indiana continues now.
Live from the heart of Ball State University, this is a NewsLink Indiana special report. Election night 2020. Here now, Tyler Brummett and Brittany Dobbins.
A reminder, we are going until 10, folks. A live look right now at the White House, the presidential race. Definitely one to watch tonight. Reminder, it will take 270 electoral votes to win. The second half hour now underway right here on a special edition of NewsLink Indiana, coverage of Election Night 2020. Good evening once again. I'm Tyler Brummett.
And I'm Brittany Dobbins, but that's not the only race up for grabs tonight. Several local races are at stake across Delaware County and the state of Indiana. We want to check back in now to the Democratic and Republican headquarters.
First, NewsLink Indiana. Live at the Republican Watch Party. Hey, Tucker.
Thank you, Tyler and Brittany. Now, here at the Republican Watch Party, it was a party. There was a DJ, there were kids dancing, the candidates would cheer when the results came in, and the reason it was such a party is because of the results. Delaware County returned all Republican incumbents. Now that includes 2 county commissioners, 2 county councilmen, a treasurer, surveyor, as well as several state representatives. Now, there were a few Republicans that didn't win tonight. However, everyone here encouraged them to run again in 2 years. Now, they are still waiting for the results on State Representative 35. Those are expected either later tonight or early tomorrow. And one interesting statistic from tonight is that over 10,000 Republican straight tickets came out of Delaware County. Tyler, Brittany, back to you.
All right, thank you, Tucker. This year, because of COVID-19, things are different with how some watch parties are. Indiana Democrats are gathering virtually right now, watching the results come in.
However, some supporters of Democratic congressional candidate Jeanine Lee Lake are gathering right now. AP projecting Greg Pence to win that race. NewsLink Indiana's Tara Konechny is live there right now. Hey, Tara.
Hello, Tyler, Brittany. A lot of energy here as I'm at the Democratic headquarters at Jeanine Lee Lake's house for the Democratic Watch Party against the race for Jeanine Lee Lake for Congress against Greg Pence. There's a lot of family keeping track of the country's race as well as their race currently and locally. Jeanine is not leading right now against Greg Pence, but they're still holding out hope for Biden for the presidency of the general election. All TVs are on and all eyes are watching the race here. Emotions are high, as Jeanine, like I said, is not leading currently. But she says that she's grateful for her team and their hard work throughout this entire campaign. She says they've ran a really good campaign and she's proud of everyone who was a part of it. She also tells me that last year at this time she was at 35.5%, but the difference from last year to this year is that Greg Pence ran a bunch of ads spending over $1 million. Which has affected her a lot. Lake says it was a struggle running for Congress this year as Greg Pence has spent so much money. And right now in the general election, it looks like Biden is leading, which is the hope for this watch party. Here in Muncie, Tara Konechny, NewsLink, Indiana. Back to you guys.
All right, Tara, thank you so much. We know that you'll keep us posted, and we want to go ahead now and bring back in NewsLink Indiana's Amani Butt.
She's live tonight in the newsroom with an update on some results. Good evening, Amani.
Tyler, Brittany, we have about a little bit over 12% of the precincts reporting, but we're going to start off tonight with the U.S. representative race for 6th congressional district race between incumbent Republican Greg Pence and Democratic candidate Jeanine Lee Lake. Looking at the monitor right now, Greg Pence has a large lead over Jeanine Lee Lake with 72% of the vote to Jeanine Lee Lake's 23% of the vote. However, looking at Delaware County, specifically not just the congressional district, in Delaware County, Jeanine Lee Lake has about a closer margin for the race. Jeanine Lee Lake has about 41% of the votes to Pence's 55%, which is a lot closer than the district. However, in terms of state representative races in the 34 and 35 districts. 34 includes Muncie. We have Sue Arrington has a large lead with about 56% of the vote. And in District 35 Republican, Elizabeth Roray has about 55% of the vote. So we're going to be looking at that all night long, and as the ballots come in and the results come in, back to you, Tyler and Brittany.
All right, Imani, thank you. Time now for some insight into what Imani just talked about.
As promised, Chad Kinsella is back with us. We want to go ahead now and talk about some of the shocking things that have happened so far. I know you said it's getting a bit crazy out there. What's happening?
Well, I think what it looks like right now is that it looks like the polls are off. I'm still watching Florida, and I think Florida is about 95% reported, and it looks, I would say at this point, Trump is way overperforming in 2016. It's really interesting across the country right now. It looks like Trump overall, it looks like right now, is overperforming. One of the things I have to be careful of, and I think we all have to be careful of, is because of a lot of that early voting, it's hard to tell what is being reported, the early votes or all of it. So do always watch all of the returns as they're coming in with a a little bit of caution because it is hard to tell what is being reported. But anyway, so it looks really interesting. Right now, I was looking at really the one big competitive House race in Indiana. It looks like, I guess, candidate Spatz is up over the Democrats. So, but it's still very, very close, and I think it's about 50-60% reported. So, we'll see. There's a lot of really interesting races out there, but it's looking it's going to be razor thin, and I think it's going to be really interesting with Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan still hasn't reported a whole lot, so we have a long way to go. I think as far as Indiana, with the exception of probably that House race and some of the other state legislative races, I think Indiana is pretty much a done deal, and including Delaware County.
Now, looking at the presidential race, things have been tense, especially at the first presidential debate. What we saw, has it been common in the past or on a smaller scale?
So the first presidential debate was unlike anything I have ever seen in my entire life. I probably would say most people would say that. I think the second one was better, and I think the vice presidential debate was much more civil. So we're kind of almost crossing a lot of unprecedented territory within a lot of this. So it'll be really interesting. And I think one of the other things to think about is when we look after this, if things continue to go the way they are, I think it'll be interesting for kind of switching gears a little bit to kind of think of like the polling industry, what they've said about some of the races. I think that's going to be really, really interesting. And one of the things I'm looking at now, so looking at some of the national races, so South Carolina was supposed to have a very, very close U.S. Senate race, and it's not kind of following as sold. So really some odd and interesting things out there, and I think there's a lot to watch, and I think a lot more upcoming.
As you mentioned, this year really unlike one that we've ever seen in the past. Several prominent issues: COVID-19, Black Lives Matter. Talk about a little bit how that's impacted this election, how it's kind of factored in.
I think it just has intensified. A lot of people, really high turnout, even for a presidential campaign. And I think we don't know all of the things that are happening right now, but I think it'll be really interesting after this is all said and done, what comes out. So far, what I've seen is some of the exit polling. Some of the biggest thing is people are still saying the economy is their biggest issue, and also COVID and race relations and some of those other things. So it's all of these key issues that we've talked about are driving voters, but different people are going to be motivated by different things, and especially different partisans probably by different things.
All right, Chad, we'll go ahead and put a pin in this part of the conversation. We'll talk a little more about COVID coming up here in a bit. Time right now, 9:42.
And social media is still active as people react to what has happened so far tonight.
Emily Harlow's back with us now. Emily, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so of course, like I mentioned just a little bit ago, the presidential candidates not as active on their social medias, but we're getting a lot of interaction now from the public, seeing their interactions as well. If we look over here to see, what they've been saying in about the last half hour, like I mentioned, things have kind of died down for the candidates, but looking at this right now, we took a look at what people in Indiana were searching through Pointer at around 6:30, right after the cutoff for getting in line to vote in Indiana. Many were searching early voting and mail-in ballot voting, but happening right now. The election 2020 hashtag is trending on Twitter, with people saying all sorts of things about the candidates, making fun of the polls. For example, in this tweet, someone, talked about how Biden was projected to win Florida within the polls, and now it doesn't look like that is going to be the case, so making fun of that scenario. Also, several news organizations tweeting out the current projected results as well. And looking into some swing states, there's been a lot of people making jokes about that, asking, which way it's going to go, and, just asking what's going to happen within those as well, And still back over in Madison County, one county over from where we are, they're still complaining of those long wait times. As I mentioned earlier, it could be anywhere from 3 to 7 hour waits, it seems, in this post. And still from Adams Township Fire Department, several people are still waiting to vote. Karen Greiner from Markville, Indiana says that she's, quote, been in line at Adams Township for 6.5 hours, and she still hasn't voted yet, but she is almost there. Now, Indiana's polls did officially close at 6 p.m., but as I mentioned, as long as you were in line before, you are still eligible to vote. And as far as the candidates and things go, what they're saying on social media as well as the public, we will continue to keep you guys updated on all of our social media pages, but especially here and our Twitter at NewsLink_BSU.
Yeah, no surprise to see Twitter blowing up. Emily, of course, we know that you're going to continue to keep us posted. Thank you so much. And we're going to be talking about COVID-19 after the break.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just like the rules to surviving Zombieland, there are steps you can take to be prepared for an emergency.
It's the right thing to do.
Talk with your family to make a plan. Look for safe areas to meet up if separated. And stock up on supplies. It's never too early to get prepared, so start now.
Right now?
Right now. You can't predict emergencies, but you can be ready.
You're welcome, America.
Visit ready.gov today to learn more.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. Live look right now at the White House as those results continue to come in for the national race. And of course, a big topic in all of this, the coronavirus pandemic, the handling of it has really forced people to really think and adjust their way of living.
And now we're going to bring back Chad Kinsella and to discuss the COVID and election. How has the COVID-19 impacted the election so far?
Gosh, it's been, so kind of to start off, it's a huge election issue, obviously, because it's kind of interesting. So it's like when I talk about this in class or I talk about it to my kids, they're like, what did people do when this happened before? And it's like I always, tell them, it's like when I talk to my parents, it's like we've dealt with a lot of things. There's been war, there's been social unrest, but we've never had a situation like COVID before, and they're in their 70s. So we're living through a very unique time, and there's a lot of frustration with it, and there is kind of this the COVID, like there's a fatigue with it.
Right.
And if you really look, the big issue for the Libertarian candidate in the governor's race here in Indiana was, people should have the right to, if they want to wear masks or not, and obviously didn't win, but performed fairly well. Received a lot of votes. So there is that fatigue out there. But anyway, going back, it's a huge issue. We've never dealt with it before, and one of the big, how's the government, how's the federal response been, state response, and there's a lot of argument about that. So it's been a huge issue, number one. It's really changed up how we do things, especially voting. So one of the things that's happened, which is extraordinary, is the number of early voting and mail-in voting has gone beyond anything that we've ever had before. So that's a huge change, and some of these things might be permanent. We'll have to see. So we have all that, and then just kind of the interactions. I think there was some discussion here locally about how if someone's not wearing a mask or not wearing it right, can you kick them out of line from voting? So you have all of these. It's just a huge issue, and it's impacted our daily life. And one of the other big problems is it's coming back. It seems that the numbers are rising across the country and has risen in a lot of even some of the battleground states. That's been one of the big discussions. So regardless of who wins, the Congress and the White House, governors are all going to have to deal with this upcoming. And Europe is kind of interesting looking at, and there was a tragedy in Vienna, but it's also interesting that Austria and several other European countries are beginning to shut down again in quarantine. So, are we facing that? So it's a big issue right now. It's going to be a big issue moving forward, and it's not going anywhere for at least the foreseeable future.
And I do want to mention that a lot of people say that they think coronavirus is going to go away after the election. Why do you think people are saying that?
I think there's a lot of conspiracy theory and I have several friends and family members who have also said, oh yes, this will all go away once X wins the White House. They'll automatically have a vaccine ready to go or whatever. I think there's a lot of conspiracy theory with that. I think that people are trying to work on a vaccine as quickly as possible for obvious reasons. I don't think, I'm hopeful, and I think Dr. Fauci and a lot of other people are hopeful that coming up here maybe in the spring of 2021, we might have something in place so that we can take care of this. But I don't think this is all going to go away even once we get an immunity to this. It's going to change, I think, the way a lot of how we do things and how we think about public health, I think, overall.
All right, Chad, we do have to leave the conversation there. Thank you so much.
And now we're going to be taking a look at the election for a moment. We are just one day away from kickoff in the MAC.
Yeah, we're talking sports here. Hear from Bryce Cosby and Drew Plitt on their anticipations for the season. Don't go anywhere.
And we caught up with two semi-state volleyball champs from Delaware County here from Yorktown next in sports.
Riding the bus is an easy thing to do. Last year, we carried 60,000 riders from the Ball State area. 50,000 of those were students. Anywhere you want to go, Mitts will take you there.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
And happy election night, everybody. I'm Blake Dahlier with sports. And as Americans are heading out to the polls, so do dozens of Ball State athletes. Using the Register Chirp Vote Initiative, the Cardinals taking to social media from the football team. Outside linebacker Jordan Williams sharing on his Instagram, joining him inside linebacker Brandon Martin, adding to his Instagram story, and then adding to the fun. Brianna Birdsong of the track team, she's sharing that she cast her ballot and adding the hashtag stroll to the polls. So pretty exciting stuff there. And as some of the Ball State football team is voting, they're also gearing up for tomorrow's season opener. The Cardinals traveling to Miami of Ohio, taking on the defending MAC champion Miami Redhawks. That will be in a primetime matchup to kick things off for the MAC. Ball State coming into the season with an abundance of swagger and confidence while having that end goal in mind. The Cardinals' mission, bringing home a MAC championship.
it's just a lot of energy, and the tempo is definitely up. The focus is there, and more than anything, we're just ready for November 4th. So right now we're just honing in on the game plan and taking it a day at a time and taking advantage of these last couple of days of preparation that we have as a team.
That competition that we have, it's just on another level this year. And so I think that's kind of one of those things that I look at and I'm like, that's a team that we need to be, is one that competes even with each other. And when we go into a game, we turn it on, and once those lights hit the field, it's game over.
That Cardinals-Red Hawks matchup will be kicking off at 7:30 on CBS Sports Network. And now as we switch gears from the football field to the volleyball court, as we reported earlier this week on NewsLink Indiana, 2 Delaware County volleyball teams have made it to the state championships. We caught up with those 2 teams today. First, the Yorktown Tigers coming back and beating Providence in 5 sets on Saturday, this continuing the Tigers' undefeated season. Now, if they claim the 4A state championship, it will be its 2nd perfect season in the last 3 years, last one coming back in 2018. This accomplishment, it's one Coach Stephanie Bloom finds pleasantly surprising.
In 2018, we went undefeated, and I said that year, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and never assumed I would be in another position 2 years later. But, yeah, just real proud of our kids.
Yorktown will be facing Munster at Worthen Arena at 7:30. And now Wapahani. They are the team that will be also going to state. Yorktown isn't the only one, and so they'll be playing for that state championship this weekend as well. Wapahani getting to the game's highest level, and this year hoping to bring home the IHSAA 2A state championship. They won in a 5-set thriller over Fairfield last weekend in the semi-state finals, taking the last 3 sets after dropping the first 2. What a comeback there. Now their attention turning to Bar Reeve this Saturday.
They didn't want the season to end. We've set a year-long goal to get back to state and to win, and we weren't about to let that go away just after a 2-set loss. We've worked all season long to get to this point, and there's just a little bit more focus.
They're scheduled to start at 1:30 at Worthen Arena. Now, I don't know about you guys, but high school volleyball is really intense. I don't know if you've had a chance to be out to any of these games, but it's probably my favorite sport to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to watch. Also, we're excited because football is coming back to Ball State.
Football is back, and I actually just found out today that we're going to have access, so we'll be able to get all the highlights for those games right here on NewsLink Indiana.
Awesome. We can't wait. Blake, thank you so much.
And now we're going to be our final thoughts with Chance Kinsella in moments.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet a few who are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener who loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
Problems. The ones nobody talks about at cocktail parties. We go looking for them. No matter the obstacles, no matter the odds, we surround a community's most critical problems, and we fight. United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?
It doesn't take a scientist to cure hunger or a fancy economist to create safe housing. It takes imagination, creativity, sweat equity. And I think of kids going to school hungry. Hunger, homelessness. In this land of plenty, seriously? Come on, we could fix this. Help out, or don't. The choice is yours.
Weeknights, NewsLink Indiana brings you the news before you go to bed.
But Friday mornings, you're waking up with Cardinal weather. We've got the latest news headlines.
Freezing temperatures have set in all the way down in Louisiana.
One man dead after flooding in Venice, Italy.
Up to the minute weather conditions.
Cold temperatures are the story this morning.
And of course, lots of fun.
It is not
What
funny.
on earth is happening there?
I feel sorry for the little guy.
I've got my socks on. Annie with her curly hair, which is actually never curly. Join us Friday mornings at 8 on Facebook Live. Welcome back. Live look right now at the White House. We want to give you an update on the national race. CNN says so far 131 electoral votes have gone to Joe Biden, 107 for President Donald Trump. Of course, we want to check back in once again with Amani.
Amani, what's going on?
As stated before, Tyler and Brittany, as stated before, the Associated Press has projected for President Trump to win all 11 electoral votes here in Indiana. But if we dive deeper into Delaware County, the margin isn't as big for the race between Trump and Biden. In Delaware County, we are looking at Trump has 55% of the votes to Biden's 42% in the county, which is not as large as it is statewide for Indiana. Looking at Delaware County in the governor's race, however, it isn't as close. Eric Holcomb has 56% of the votes to Woody Myers' 32%, which is somewhat interesting, but not really, considering that we often see in cities and counties with universities lean a little bit more Democratic. But what is interesting tonight is that there were a considerable amount of Republican straight tickets in Delaware County. Also, the election turnout was up 8% from 50 to 58% this time, and also the county was 42% of its voters voted in by mail, which can be contributed to the coronavirus pandemic. Back to you, Tyler and Brittany.
All right, thank you, Imani. Now we're going to check back in with Chad Kinsella one more time about his final thoughts on the election so far.
Kind of talking about this as we just now passed the top of the hour, more states closing their polling locations.
Yeah, so there's going to be more states closing as we go west. Colorado and some of the Rocky states are finally coming in. Gosh, there's a long way to go in states like Ohio, North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin. So there's a lot of battleground states that have yet to be called. So it's going to be, I think, a long night. I think we have to also be prepared for the possibility, especially given the closeness of this race, that this may not be over tonight, is typical, I think, with a lot of presidential elections. So I would say there's a better than even chance that we may not know a winner before at least tomorrow, maybe longer. We'll have to see, depending on how close some of the other races are.
All right, Chad Kinsella, we want to thank you so much for your insight and analysis tonight. Of course, very valuable. And we do want to get one final check of that weather forecast. Nathan Gidley, what do you have for us?
Just a fantastic forecast. 70 tomorrow and dropping back a little bit there on Tuesday as a weak disturbance move through, bringing with it a few more clouds. But just look at that forecast. Friday, 70 as well. 70s into the weekend and early next week before a cold front starts to move through Tuesday, dropping the temperatures down a little bit and bringing with it some rain chances.
All right, Nathan, thank you so much. That's all tonight for NewsLink Indiana's 2020 election night coverage. But we're going to have more coverage for you tomorrow during NewsLink Indiana Midday, streaming live on the NewsLink Indiana Facebook page.
And for news anytime, anywhere, go to ballstatedaily.com. Have a great night.